Can't hear.
I can hear you now. You were muted.
And we can hear you.
There we go.
I am here, Madam Clerk.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Ravitz.
Mr. Ravitz is here.
Mr. Jonnada
Here.
and Mayor Guariglia.
Here. We have one proclamation on this evening's agenda. We're honoring March 2024 as Women's History Month. And the theme this year is Women Who Advocate for Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. I would like to welcome up to the podium if both Chief Nunn and Chief Shear would come to the podium. And
Are you going?
thank you. Instead of reading through the proclamation, I wanted to make some quick remarks before we honor our firefighters and police officers. The theme is chosen by the National Women's History Alliance, and this year's theme is Women Who Advocate for Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. We join in celebrating women who work to eliminate bias and discrimination from society and our institutions. To all our female firefighters and police officers who continue to lead and perform the services that make them excel at their jobs, we thank you and applaud your dedication to a service that many, regardless of gender, can endure. It's a unique quality that calls those with the bravery to risk their lives for a greater cause. The level of responsibility that falls squarely on your shoulders to make quick decisions, communicate, and function under high levels of stress is seen in each of our recipients tonight. While many still feel women do not have the mental or physical strength to compete alongside their male counterparts for positions in the police and fire departments, our township professionals have shown that not to be the case. We continue to work towards a culture that is inclusive, respectful, and supportive of women in all ranks and roles of law enforcement and fire protection. As far back as 1845, 2 women served as matrons at the Tombs, the prison in New York City. In 1908, Lola Baldwin was the first sworn female police officer in Portland, Oregon. In 1916, Constance Capp was New Jersey's first female deputy sheriff. There's 73,000 women that serve as law enforcement officers in the U.S., but still today, only about 13% of sworn officers and only about 3% of police leadership are women. Firefighters in the U.S. hover around 5% are females. Women inspire trust, especially in our communities, by building relationships with citizens and can mediate interpersonal conflicts while assuring those involved remain safe. The qualities, skills, and strength both police and fire professionals need are just as effective without regard to gender. As we celebrate Women's History Month, please join me and the Township Committee in recognizing and celebrating our professional women in police and fire departments. So now I'd like to have Chief Nunn, if you would call up.
Lieutenant Bishop.
You want to switch?
Lieutenant Bishop started her fire service career as a volunteer firefighter with the Morris Township Fire Department in 2004. Lieutenant Bishop joined the Mount Campbell Fire Company, where she served as a lieutenant and captain in the volunteer ranks. She also served in many other roles supporting the Mount Campbell Volunteer Fire Company. Lieutenant Bishop was hired as a career firefighter in 2011 and promoted to the rank of lieutenant in January of 2023. In addition to her basic firefighting certifications, Lieutenant Bishop has demonstrated her commitment to the fire department by further obtaining many specialized certifications and courses that enhance her training and skills. Some of these include Incident Level Management 3, Fire Officer, Fire Instructor Level 2, and Fire Official.
Congratulations. This is for you. You did stay up here. If you would maybe stand, and after Chief Nunn is done, then you'll make remarks before we do the police, okay?
Okay.
You can switch up there.
Firefighter Alderman started her fire service career as a volunteer for the Hopakon Fire Department in 2008. After meeting her now husband, Jay, she moved to Mendham Township in 2010 and became a volunteer member with the Brookside Engine Company, where she served as a lieutenant and captain there. Volunteer firefighter Alderman moved to Morris Township in 2016, joined the Morris Township Fire Department as a volunteer with the member of Fairchild Fire Company, where she served as a lieutenant and captain in the volunteer ranks. Firefighter Alderman was hired as a career firefighter at the Morris Township Fire Department in April of 2020 and currently serves as a union president for the FMBA 70. In addition to her basic firefighting certification skills, Firefighter Alderman has also demonstrated her commitment to the fire department by further obtaining many specialized certifications that enhance her training skills, some of which include, again, Incident Management Level 3, Instructor Level 1, and Fire Officer.
Congratulations. And just before we move on to Police Committeeman Ravitz, would you like to say some words?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody, and happy spring. I'm just going to say a few words because I serve on both the standing committees for the police and the fire, so this is an appropriate time for me to give a couple of remarks. As we gather here today to commemorate Women's History Month, it's a profound moment to reflect on the incredible strides women have made throughout history and continue to make, through the present day. It's also a time to honor and celebrate our local heroes in our midst, the women who serve their communities with unwavering dedication as police officers and as firefighters. In a world where gender stereotypes still persist, these women stand as living proof that bravery, resilience, and leadership know no bounds. They embody the spirit of service, sacrificing their own safety to ensure the safety and well-being of others. Their courage inspires us all and reminds us of the power of determination and passion in breaking barriers. Our local police officers, often the first line of defense in times of crisis, demonstrate remarkable strength and compassion in the face of adversity. They patrol our streets, enforce the law, and build vital connections within our communities. These women in blue not only protect and serve, but also nurture trust and understanding, bridging the gap between law enforcement and the public they serve. Similarly, our firefighters, with their unwavering commitment and selflessness, rush toward danger where others flee. They battle raging fires, conduct daring rescues, and provide critical aid in emergencies. These women don't just fight fires, they fight stereotypes, challenging outdated notions of what women can achieve in traditionally male-dominated fields. Their presence in the fire service serves as a beacon of hope and inspiration for future generations. We owe a debt of gratitude to these local heroines who put their lives on the line day in and day out to keep our communities safe. Their dedication, sacrifice, and resilience is a testament to the indomitable spirit of women everywhere. As we celebrate Women's History Month, let us not only honor the trailblazers of the past, but also recognize and uplift the women who continue to make history today. Let us pledge to support and empower women in all fields, ensuring that every individual has the opportunity to thrive and succeed, regardless of gender. Together, let us build a future where equality, justice, and opportunity are not just ideals, but lived realities for all. Thank you.
Chief Shear, would you like to come up now?
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. I could go on and on for hours about all the things these officers do for the township day in and day out, but I will keep it brief. First, I'd like to talk about Officer McIver. Officer McIver was hired here in Morris Township in 2006. I had the good fortune to work with Officer McIver. I think from day one, we were assigned to the same squad for a long time, and somehow we always ended up in the same zone. And I would tell you that I took all the calls every single day, and Tia Shirley would tell you that she took all the calls every single day. But most of the stories from that time I'll probably have to save for our retirement parties. But what I like the most share about Officer McIver is she's in Friedlandheisen Middle School every single day, teaching our young boys and girls, and is that bridge between kind of the young community and the police. And the things that she's done and the programs that she's implemented has been invaluable to the township. And just seeing how she interacts with those kids day in and day out when she invites us to our breakfasts each year is it's just great to see. And we really appreciate everything she does in Frelinghuysen every single day. And she's just truly an asset to Morris Township. So, Officer McIver, thank you very much. Yep, come on right over here.
Congratulations.
That's it. Next, I'd like to speak about Officer Catherine Ridley. Officer Ridley was hired by Morris Township in 2019. And if I could best describe Officer Ridley to everybody, I would essentially call her our Swiss Army knife. She does everything for us. She handles complex investigations. She does presentations in schools, regular traffic enforcement day in and day out. And I can safely say I've never had a day where I've seen Officer Ridley come in without a smile and a warm gesture, unless maybe when I turn around, I don't know. But she certainly has just been such a great asset. And like I said, if there's been something that's happened in Morris Township in the last 4 years that she's been here, she somehow had a part in it, whether it was being an initial responder or helping the victims or trying to identify the suspects. And we really, truly do appreciate the work that Officer Ridley does day in and day out. So thank you. Officer Nelson has only been with us since 2022, and she has the distinct honor of being my first official hire. So she has, some pressure on her, that's for sure, but she has certainly lived up to it thus far. Officer Nelson, during her short time here, is just a calming presence. Watching her on scenes and seeing how she's able to diffuse situations and really just handle herself in the most stressful situations in a very calm manner. And she's taken maybe an interest in kind of the medical calls that we have, and she's been receiving more training for that and will continue to do so. And for us, the medical calls is usually what officers are most stressed during, and that's kind of where she's found her niche thus far. And we really appreciate the work that she does on those types of calls. And we look forward to seeing how she progresses in her young career. And Officer Taylor Nelson, we appreciate all the work you do. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Last but certainly not least, Officer Nkuzi. Those of you may remember, we just swore her in, I believe, 2 or 3 meetings ago, and I had a nice speech prepared for her, and I was unsure of how her career was going to start, and I guess I shouldn't have been surprised because either we're first or second night shift. I get obviously an alert of what the officers did the night before, and I see her badge number. I see 179. DWI arrest, and I had a look and I said, who's 179? The badge number started to blur a little bit when you didn't. And then I said, wow, Officer Nkuzi already got her first DWI arrest, and just the commitment that she's already taken in keeping the residents safe is great. And truly look forward again to see how her career develops, because she certainly has some good instincts already. So Officer Nkuzi, we appreciate the work you do and look forward to seeing what you continue to do.
Congratulations. If we could get everybody, we'd like to get a picture, and we do have frames for you. Unfortunately, when they came in, they weren't appropriate frames, so we will get you frames.
Want to hop in? What do you get?
This is my side of the.
Yeah.
I'll go here.
Make sure you're blinking all of them.
Lean back a little more, Suzanne.
I can send them to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Appreciate it.
You're my heroes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Jane. Any change? You're welcome.
The next thing on our agenda is we have two presentations for tonight. And the first one, we'd like to welcome up Chair Brian Morgan of the Environmental Commission to give the Environmental Commission's annual report for 2023.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for the opportunity to review the 2023 Environmental Commission Annual Report. If I can ask that we get the cover of the report brought up, that would be very helpful.
Brian, can you raise the microphone?
Sure. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the Environmental Commission, and I'll use EC for short, has had another very successful year due to the amazing effort of our dedicated volunteers who are enabled by our township professionals and township committee liaisons. I'd like to start out with our cover. Well, not our traditional Ginty gazebo that we usually have from the previous 2 years. This cover underscores two successful initiatives that we had undertaken in 2023. First, the completion and the opening ceremony of our Butterworth Park Pollinator Garden that was funded by a $1,000 grant that we had won. The concept and project, driven by one of our very dedicated EC members, Charlie Schechter, is a great example of the EC's push to not only educate residents about the benefits of planting native plants, but putting it into practice. The garden's opening ceremony, held unfortunately in the rain, was a great celebration of that work. I'm very thankful of the attendance of nearly all the committee members and Mr. Quinn in 2023. Second, our new logo. It was created in part to celebrate the second grant that we've won in as many years. This time, the grant was won for improved outreach materials. This logo, created by the township's very talented professional, Virginia Murphy, with inputs by the EC, is now used across all of our outreach and materials and allows the EC to have a clear identity. As always, we're thankful to the very talented and supportive professionals in the township. 2023 contained many opportunities for continued outreach. The EC has a regular spot at the Winter Farmers Market over at Convent Station and at other events like the Fall Festival and Great Swamp Music Festival. At these events, we share information about who we are on the EC, like what we do, what our responsibilities are, our priorities, as well as we receive a lot of feedback from residents where we learn about their priorities and concerns. This, on top of our regular newsletter, allows the EC to celebrate the great work done by the township, educate residents on what their government professionals and volunteers are doing, and inform them of what they can do to make Morris Township a more sustainable place to live. Site reviews at the core of the EC responsibility are still one of our primary responsibilities. 2023 was no different. We had many site reviews to conduct, ensuring the EC has input on development from an environmental impact. The reports are submitted to the land use boards for their review and consideration, provides an overview of the application, the impact of that application, and the EC's recommendation for the land use board. Our reports continue to mature as the EC has more training, expertise, and receives feedback. The feedback thus far has been very positive, and we continue to strive to make them better. You'll find this and much more information in the report, including the restart of our student poster contest, a list of the extensive education taken by the volunteers, a site visit to the recycling facility, and other areas of collaboration. So looking forward to 2024, we've already had a very busy first quarter with another grant submitted, poster contest awards ceremony, and an extremely productive and educational discussion about trees with our senior township professionals from the DPW, Parks and Rec, and Engineering. We're hopeful we can build off of that discussion to explore how to best protect our tree canopy, knowing our trees are critical to the character of the township and essential to both the local ecology and stormwater runoff reduction. Other goals for 2024 include preparing for Sustainable New Jersey certification renewal and possible expansion from bronze certification to silver certification, improving the site review process, making sure we are well informed, and if making sure we are well informed, and if a recommendation is warranted around areas such as a shade tree commission, and learning more about the Morristown gas leaf blower ban. And last but not least, composting. That's a priority for us in 2024. I need to recognize professionals that make our progress possible. There are too many to name, but I have to call out Vanelise Rush, our amazing secretary, the EC secretary, Virginia Murphy, who I mentioned has been invaluable in helping us with our newsletter and our new logo, Jim Slate from the engineering department, and Mr. Tim Quinn. Thank you for your time and effort. I'd like to thank all of our dedicated EC members. Again, all volunteers. They volunteer countless hours, taking training, conducting outreach, attending meetings, collaborating on best practices, and doing what they can to make Morris Township a better and more sustainable place to live. And did I mention those long meetings? They keep putting up with them. So I'd like to thank them for that. I'd like to thank the governing body for their continued support, especially the TC members that attend our meetings, Siva and Jeff Grayzel. Their support is crucial to ensure our priorities are aligned to the township committees and can become a reality. Thank you, and I look forward to a successful and greener 2024.
Wait
Sure.
just a minute, because I just do, any committee members have any remarks or anything?
Mayor?
Yes.
Sure. Brian, I'd like to thank you personally for your commitment to everything you've done for EC. You've been a true driving force in this community. And as I always like to say, the volunteers that we have on all our boards and committees do that as in a volunteer role to make our town better for everybody else. And Brian in particular, I believe, has had a huge impact on our town and the quality of life, and always having the environment in the forefront. Because I'm personally, I love everything that you're doing, and I look forward to working on composting as well this year. Getting garbage out of the garbage stream is a benefit to everybody. So thank you so much, Brian. And thank you to everybody else on the EC.
Thank you.
I'd like just add to that. I'm looking forward to, well, it had been my pleasure to work with you last year with Kathy Wilson, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the EC comes up with for the governing body this year. So, kudos to you all for your continued dedication and hard work.
Thank you.
And even though I'm now TC, under TC, last year I was on the EC, so this report, although I didn't do as much as I did as previously, I think the EC has done an excellent job in the last few years, especially last year, doing all this with the pollinator garden, and I'm sure there's much on the plate this year, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Committeeman Jonnada. And Brian, again, thank you to you and all your volunteer members, because you do outstanding work, and we're really lucky to have you in the township. Appreciate you coming out tonight.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Donna. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, the next year-end report we have is the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee, or SCAC, and that is being given by our own Kathy Wilson. Welcome back to the...
Actually, we need to get set up here.
Wow.
Little
You
tech
brought your own
challenge.
tech support.
What's that?
You brought your own tech support, huh?
Right, Mary's gonna,
If all goes well, you're hired.
Okay, well, not sure about that. Did we join yet, Kathy?
oh. Note that I'm assisting.
Did you join yet?
I did,
Okay. Were we made a panelist?
not yet.
Okay. Where's my piece of paper?
Recording in progress.
Oh. Kathy, you need to shut the volume off.
I did.
Okay.
Join as a panelist.
Right.
Okay, so share screen.
Right.
So while Mary's getting set up, maybe I'll clarify one point here. I'm not actually presenting the end of the year report for the Seniors Committee. I'm presenting the results of the survey and the focus groups that were done last year. So it's similar, but not the same. And the report that's out, there's a different report that highlights the results of the survey and the focus group. Yeah. Yeah, I know.
I used to have Tim have a power strip run down the tape.
I knew this might happen. So I'm actually prepared for it.
Good to know.
This one right here. Okay. We don't want to unmute. Stay muted. Okay. Is it showing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've done a PowerPoint in a long time. So that was a learning experience. Hello, everyone. It's nice to see you again. And for those who may not know me, my name is Kathy Wilson. I served as the chair of Morris Township Senior Citizens Advisory Committee, which I'm going to refer to as SCAC, since it began in 2022. I'm now a retired alum of the governing body. And as I said, I'm here tonight to present the results of the needs survey and the focus group event that SCAC conducted last year in 2023. Next slide. Per its founding ordinance, SCAC's mission is to make recommendations regarding the needs of senior citizens and to assist in fulfilling those needs, especially in the areas of transportation, housing, medical care, and related issues affecting seniors. Next slide. From the beginning, SCAC knew that to fulfill its mission, they wanted to find ways to gather input from our residents. The first thing they decided to do was plan a needs survey. At their first meeting in April 2022, they set up a survey committee headed by Noel Robinson. Throughout 2022, the survey committee did a lot of research on surveys that other towns, the county, other organizations had conducted. They also spent a lot of time sharing and discussing draft content and questions with the full committee's membership. In January 2023, after months of deliberation, SCAC finalized the questions and the content for their own needs survey. From February through mid-April of last year, the survey was distributed to township residents electronically, as well as in person at various events and locations via hard copy. Responses were obtained from 589 residents. The results of the needs survey can be viewed on SCAC's portion of the township's website, which I will say a little more about later. Next slide. This slide shows the top 5 responses to the survey's last question, which was, which of the following topics and services is most important to you? So there were 24 choices presented. These were the top 5 choices: exercise programs, repairs and handyman services, social and recreational activities, trips, and volunteer activities. SCAC viewed these responses as particularly important in clarifying the needs and interests of our seniors. Each of these topics is addressed in the final report. These topics also influenced their approach to developing the focus group event. Next slide, please. SCAC was committed from the outset to the importance of supplementing the survey results with input obtained through focus group discussions. They knew that from a resident perspective, answering written survey questions is a very different experience than discussing your thoughts with others in a small group setting. SCAC wanted to ensure that our residents had access to both options. They also wanted access to both types of inputs, SCAC did, as they worked to accomplish their mission of crafting well-informed advisory recommendations. The task of developing, organizing, and implementing a focus group event was a large and challenging project and a centerpiece of their work in 2023. As with the survey, Noel led a subgroup that spent a lot of time working offline from the regular meetings to develop plans for making the focus group event come to life. There were many considerations that had to come into play, how to make space at town hall for multiple small groups to meet during business hours, which topics to focus on, how to structure the questions, how to enlist volunteers, how to train the volunteers. The focus group committee spent many hours working amongst themselves with all the SCAC members and with township staff to address every issue that needed attention. These efforts culminated in an event that was held right here in this room on October 10th, 2023. At that time, 41 seniors gathered in small groups of 7 to 10 people throughout the building and discussed their responses to the following questions. In thinking about the factors that contribute to a positive quality of life for older adults, what suggestions do you have for actions, programs, or services that would better address the needs and interests of our seniors? What are the strengths of the social, recreational, and educational activities in the township? What would you suggest be added or changed? If the township provided transportation for seniors, how would you use it? And any additional topics you'd like to bring to our attention. Notes from the focus groups are posted on SCAC's website. Next slide, please. A review of the survey and the focus group data leads to several big picture observations about the needs and interests of our seniors. At the top of the list, our seniors they expressed that they're experiencing a lot of problems with communication and technology. Communication was energetically cited by every focus group as their top concern. Many seniors said they feel like they don't know what's going on. They feel out of touch. There were a lot of comments about challenges and frustrations with technology, phones, computers, internet. A lot of the participants knew nothing about the township's email system, the messenger. Even our more tech-savvy seniors expressed concern with difficulty navigating the township's website. Another important finding, which I know the governing body is very familiar with, is widespread lack of awareness of resources that already exist. This pattern was repeated over and over in the survey and the focus group results. People would express needs for things that they did not realize are already available. This is a pervasive problem, it's longstanding, and there are no easy answers, but finding new ways to build awareness of existing resources is a top priority in all areas. Also, going through this quickly, there were many comments and suggestions in such areas as lifelong learning, volunteer-related activities, partnership building suggestions, and transportation concerns, all of which are addressed in the recommendations section of this report. One topic that came up repeatedly but is not addressed as a recommendation is the need for assistance with household repairs. Clearly, this is an important need, but for many reasons, it's not an appropriate topic for the township to get involved in. There is a section, however, on SCAC's website that points to organizations that can help with referrals. Another topic that came up repeatedly, and which we're all familiar with, is the need for a senior center. Everyone was thrilled to hear of the township's plan to purchase the school on Jean Street and eventually turn it into a senior center or to a community center. The news of this purchase could not be more timely. Everyone was very appreciative. It came out when it did, and thank you for that. So on recommendations, in the time I have, I want to highlight a few of the key recommendations for addressing the needs of our seniors. There's a lot more info in the final report, so I encourage you to take a look at that when you have time. Communication and technology was an important topic, and the blocks top and bottom do have some significance here. On the one hand, per the top row, one important set of recommendations is to find ways to help seniors build their own tech skills. So from some examples listed here, work with the school system to develop a tech buddy tutoring program that pairs tech savvy students with tech challenged seniors. This suggestion was brought up over and over by many people who attended the focus group event, along with the suggestion also repeated a lot was that perhaps the kids could get community service credit for their work. There were also lots of suggestions for various tech workshops, tech training experiences. Two that kind of caught my eye or ear: Township website 101, basic training for seniors; SCAC website, one-stop access for all things seniors. Another recommendation was to create a one-page doc of top suggestions for utilizing the township's existing communication resources. I thought that was a good idea, but that's a challenging project, actually. On the other hand, bottom row, it's also important, it came up repeatedly, it's important to honor the preference of many seniors to receive information in more old-fashioned ways. So some suggestions along that front: consider creating an all things seniors newsletter that's sent once a year by regular mail to all seniors in the township. Keep in mind the need for, you can find creative low-cost ways to include hard copy info, for example, in tax bills or sewer bills, and consider possibilities for establishing an all things seniors phone number. I know it's hard, but it's worth considering. A lot of seniors brought that up as something that would be helpful to them. There were also lots of interest among our seniors in educational and learning opportunities. This is one of those places where there's a ton of resources locally for us to choose from. And I would say that the webpage that SCAC has put together has compiled this incredible list of resources, really helpful. So I encourage everybody to check that out. So making use of existing resources is one recommendation, and another is there were a lot of suggestions for particular topics that you could have guest speakers on that people would be interested in. Examples included art, estate planning, local history, and artificial intelligence. On recreational activities, a few points here. Again, the ongoing theme: look for ways to promote awareness of existing classes and activities, of which there are many offered by our recreation department. Two others stood out to me: continue working with the Transportation Advisory Committee to create a walking group for seniors. They started this work last year. TAC sponsored one walking event for seniors, and there was a lot of interest on the part of both committees, both the transportation and the seniors. This collaborative effort is definitely worth continuing and expanding. And you may remember that trips were one of the top 5 list of topics of interest to seniors. Many seniors are not aware of the large number and really great selection of trips that are offered by our Seniors Club together with our recreation department. The recommendations here include encouraging the Seniors Club and the Parks and Rec department to work together to develop new ways of promoting awareness, and to post a descriptor of trip offerings on SCAC's web section of the website. This recommendation's already been implemented, and you can find info about trips on there. On volunteers, there, again, the boxes, there were 2 kind of categories of volunteers that recommendations that came out. One is finding ways to match seniors up with volunteers who can help the seniors. So, for example, finding ways to put seniors in touch with volunteers who might help with, raking leaves or shoveling snow. We talked about the tech. That's another good volunteer pairing. Also, I was surprised by the amount of discussion there was at the focus groups of seniors wanting ways to be in touch with each other, and a lot of discussion about how we're here, we can help each other, but maybe there should be a database with different interests, there's a lot of possibilities here. I thought that was an interesting suggestion. On the bottom row, there's a lot of interest among our seniors in serving as volunteers themselves. And here again, there's just an enormous number of resources in our community for people who want to volunteer. And SCAC did a wonderful job of compiling them in one location. Next slide, please. There were repeated suggestions came up to look for ways to expand communication and build partnerships with various groups and organizations in ways that promote shared interests. So there were several different groups that were mentioned. Three that came up repeatedly were the school district, the library, and the transportation committee. So a beginning recommendation is for SCAC to consider setting up liaison positions with each of these groups. In the area of transportation, while it's clear that transportation is a concern for many of our seniors for many different reasons, the survey and focus groups did not yield enough information for SCAC to make informed recommendations for meeting the transportation needs of our seniors. More information is needed about how many people are affected, what their needs actually are, and to identify the best options for meeting those needs. So the recommendations on the transportation front are for SCAC to conduct more research into transportation options that other towns offer. There's a lot of examples. Compile a report that summarizes how various options work, how widely they're used, and how much they cost. As part of conducting this research, CCAC should look closely at the transportation needs of Morris Mews residents. They merit specialized attention. Next slide, please. I wanted to say a couple of words about SCAC's webpage or website. As you've heard tonight, I've made repeated reference to their web presence on the township's website. SCAC members, especially Mary Ball, who's with us tonight, right here, have put a countless number of hours into creating this site. Creating the web presence that's up there now has been a centerpiece of SCAC's work over the last 2 years. And it's a huge contribution to accomplishing their mission. So I just want, if you could go to the next slide, I just want to show 2 quick slides. This is what it looks like. If you go on the SCAC website, and you can see on the left, transportation, health, medical, housing. These are, there's a lot of existing resources currently in our community that are available there. And I think that's a big step forward for anybody looking for information. And if you can go to the next one, social, recreational, and educational activities. This is where SCAC really put a lot of work into this. They added new parts. You can see along the left-hand side, there's links for lifelong learning, the seniors club, performing arts. The technology resources is really good, I think. Trips and volunteering. So there's a lot of information just on that section that is should be of interest to a lot of our seniors. And true to form, what the SCAC website is underutilized because it's not well known. So that's one of the goals for the year ahead, is to promote awareness. And finally, I would say that SCAC made a lot of progress last year in fulfilling its mission. The committee itself is well positioned to fill most of the recommendations that came out of the survey and focus group from last year. They do need to do more research on transportation, and in the years ahead, they will need to look more closely at housing and medical needs as well. But in the meantime, I thank all the SCAC people who are here tonight. Thank you for coming. And I know the members are very motivated and committed, and that they'll no doubt continue working very hard to make quality of life for our seniors as best as it can be. And finally, very finally, acknowledgements and thank yous. There's way more people than I can mention by individual names tonight, but I would like to just say that we had many staff members who helped us, all the members of the committee, A lot of people, I think 15 or 17 people served as facilitators and scribes. We had 589 residents who participated in the survey, and we had 41 people show up for the focus group event. So it takes a village, and we did it. And I'm very proud of what was accomplished, and I thank everyone for joining us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Again, such a great job. Really appreciate it. I just have a quick comment I personally want to make because I've had the pleasure of being on the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee with Kathy. And I also want to acknowledge that Noelle Robinson and Barbara Sabiri, the two co-chairs now, are here with us tonight. So again, such good work being done there, and a lot of the collaboration that we are starting to see with our other advisory groups is really happening. So it's very.
It is, and there's a lot of interest in it. So thank you.
Thank you. At this time is the public comment. There are currently 10 members of the public joining us on Zoom. At this time, we'll open the meeting to public comment. We'll take comments from in-person attendees first, and then we'll switch over to Zoom. Please virtually raise your hand in Zoom to indicate you'd like to speak. Please state your name and address for the record before speaking. Please note that your comments are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. If you have questions you would like answered, the remaining time to speak will be yielded back for this purpose. Is there a motion to open public comment?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any members from the public?
Good evening, I'm Diane Holland. I live at 26 North Bridge Place. I walk frequently on the traction line, and I'm curious why there, or who owns the property that is what we would consider attached to the gatehouse, the old Con gatehouse. The property, the land there, is that owned by the town, or is who owns that?
We own that property on the other side of the drive.
Okay, so I often see vehicles parked there and JCP&L trucks. Is there some reason, since they have a 3-deck parking garage? Not for the trucks, of course.
Those are public service trucks, and that's a JCP&L. They're not the same entity. And we have some work that we do with public service where they're doing work in the area. And then we work out agreements where they use our parking lot, but then we get roads repaved and those kinds of things.
I didn't.
We get roads repaved with them when they're finishing up their work, and we have a good relationship with them for other services that they can provide us.
Sometimes okay, all right. But sometimes I think there are JCP&L trucks there. No?
It's the only public service that we've been working with over there.
Okay.
If there is Jersey Central, they shouldn't be because
Okay.
they're not part of it. But the ones I've seen are all
Public
public service, and there's usually 2 or 3 trucks there. But they're doing a lot of work on the Woodland Avenue side of Morris Township right now.
Great. Thank you very much.
But Tim, on the other side of Prescott Road, there is a JCP&L transformer facility. Is that correct?
But I believe that has been taken out of service.
Oh. Okay.
I will double check. Okay.
So maybe that's what you saw for JCP. I don't know. You saw it in the other parking lot? Okay.
Over by the public, there's a gravel, dirt, dust road parking lot, and it's mostly public service that we've been working with all the work they've been doing down at this end of town.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lauren Miller. I live at 23 Fieldstone Drive, and I'm here to talk about pickleball. But before I do, I want to say to Tim that I understand your wife isn't returning to Streeter Pool this summer, and that's a huge loss. So there's big shoes to fill with that. There's 2 things I want to talk about with pickleball. As you know, it's exploding all over the place. There's 2 new indoor clubs that are opening close by. The Ginty courts are beautiful, and they're used, as you know, all the time. Rules were put in a year ago to help sort of manage the onslaught to Ginty. One was the institution of badge purchasing, and I'd like to talk about that for a minute. I've never been checked. My badge has never been checked. And most of the people I play with said their badges have never been checked. So as a reason, and I know there are people playing there who haven't purchased badges. And their feeling is, why should we? There's nobody checking. Other people have said, why buy another badge? Nobody checked me. And for out of township residents, that's $175 that we're losing and they don't have to pay. So that's a concern because I think there were over 600 badges sold last year. And when I went to pick mine up on Friday, that was well down to about 400. So those people aren't going elsewhere to find a better deal. They're probably coming without paying. So I understand 2 people were hired, I think, to check badges.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. One of those people I've only seen play. Well, you can't, I don't know what his hours are, and that's another question. What are the hours of the badge checkers? And if he is being paid by the township, should he be playing or should he be at the gate checking badges? The other issue is there's 2 different kinds of play at Ginty. There's something called open play, where you put your paddles on a cue, and when your paddle's up and a spot opens up, you go on. And then there's something called non-open play, where you can play with a group for an hour, and it changes every hour on the hour for certain parts of the day. So at that hour, everybody's supposed to get off and then rotate so that everybody has a chance to then come back on. Again, I play there a lot. That's never been enforced while I was there, ever. So I've gone there with a group of 4 on a non-open play day, and we get there at about 5 of 2. At 2 o'clock, everybody's supposed to get off. Well, people don't. Nobody did. So unfortunately for the people on court 1 where the gate is, they got us. And we came on and said, it's 2 o'clock, it's time to get off. And there was a lot of tension. They were very upset. There was yelling. Where are the rules? Well, the rules were right behind us. So that issue of non-open play, it's complicated. People should play by the rules, but they don't. So it seems that there should be somebody there to facilitate that non-open play. So while the rules put in place were a really good idea, I think they need to be reevaluated, as was said last year that would be done. That leads me to my last point. There were changes in the schedule, in the time allowed for open play versus non-open play. Well, I'm not sure because I didn't receive one. I wasn't asked how I felt about that. There was no survey that went out, as far as I know, to any stakeholders, which is defined are people that bought badges. So I don't know how that decision was made. I think that everybody who bought the badges should have been asked in a simple survey using SurveyMonkey how they feel about it. So that was discussed a year ago, and it didn't happen this year. So the badge issue and the monitoring of the badges needs to be addressed, I feel, as well as the enforcement of open play rules, non-open play rules, and then asking the stakeholders who are there all the time how they feel about the structure.
Thank you very much for your comments. And it's my understanding, though, that the pickleball monitors, are they there all day?
They're not there all day. There's their peak periods. They're supposed to be there. There's 2 of them. I think I know who she's referring to as the one there. He's been there with us for several years. We have a second person. I know I apologize. I don't have the.
Excuse me, I can't hear you at all.
This any better?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that.
You start over because I'm interested in what you're saying.
Nope. I will follow up with our Parks and Recreation Department. We do have monitors there. They don't have steady hours as we move them around depending on what it is, but knowing that there's maybe an issue there, a changeover time is good information to have, and I will relay that on. I know they were working on a survey. I should have a better answer for that. They do have a survey that it will be coming out. I know there was some
checking for badges.
Right, and checking for badges.
Right.
So I will certainly pass that along.
Okay.
to our Parks and Recreation folks, and then I will get back to you on that.
Great, thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your input.
Tim?
Yes, sir,
Did
boss.
we already decide on the allocation of time? I know we talked about changing the allocation of time between open play and group play. Has that been decided upon yet and announced, or
Yes,
it's still
it
up
was.
in the air?
Yeah, that was part of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, and they made some adjustments to
Right,
the
but has
schedule.
that gone out to the public yet?
It's,
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Louis. Is this too loud? I don't
No, you're fine.
No. Okay. I'm Louise Carger. I live at 137 Hillcrest, and I'm a pickleball nut. So I have one other thing to say that it has to do with your understanding of how pickleball works so that you can make decisions or talk to the Parks and Rec Commission or whatever they're called. So the way things are at Ginty, there are two distinct groups of people. They're the really good players. They're unbelievable. I would call them advanced, intermediate, advanced players. And then there are those of us, myself included, that I would call intermediate. We're not as good. We couldn't be on the court with these people at all. They wouldn't want us there. The standard ethos in pickleball is the idea that you can just walk on, you can be totally by yourself, you have your paddle in your hand, you stick it up on the rack, and then when your paddle comes to the top of the stack, you get to go on the court, which is great. And that works if the people are at the same level. But honestly, those people wouldn't want me on the court. It wouldn't be fun for them. And I don't mind having them on my court because they can always, if they are nice people, they can what's called play down. In other words, they can modify their game. I play with people who aren't as good as me, and I find different ways of challenging myself that don't involve being super aggressive. So when you think about what to do about the open play time, I would really like you to consider, and by the way, the numbers of people in these two groups are roughly equal. There are those of us who are, intermediates, we like to have a good time, are about the same number. If you go to the courts on any given day, you'll see about the same number of those really good people that I like to watch. I'm like, whoa, and the rest of us. So I think there needs to be, there are 6 courts there. So there's one rack on one end where you can put your paddles up, and there's one rack on the and so courts 1 to 3 have a rack, and courts 4 to 6 have a rack. And if the first 3 courts could be designated for one group, and the other 3 courts for the other group, in other words, we're equal. It's not like they have a lot of people and we don't have as many. These are equal groups. And so if we could have one rack for each group, then we could rotate in at our own level and everybody would be happier. So this is for open play. This is how open play works. I'm not going to talk about the other play, but that's how open play works. And I want to second the fact that I'm there a lot. I'm an addict. There's one person who checks badges that I do see there and who goes there to play. And he kind of knows us, so he kind of knows that some of us have badges, so he doesn't have to go and check my badge. I know him. But I have not seen the second person there. Honest. I play at peak times. I play at 12, 1, 2, and then in the summertime, I play at 8, 9 when it's cooler. And I'm there, when things are happening. Courts are full, And one person, I saw a woman there once or twice last year. I haven't seen anyone yet in this season. And again, the other gentleman who comes, he's one of those good players. He plays, that's great. I have nothing against that, but I don't see him checking badges. And I don't even know if the people who are playing with him have badges, because my impression is that those of us who are some of the less skillful players are also the township residents. And my impression is that the people who are coming, who are playing at that higher level, in all likelihood, possibly are coming from other places. And I don't even know if they've bought badges or not. So I just want people to understand how it works, because, so I think the courts should be divided up. 3 courts for those wonderful advanced players and 3 courts for us intermediate players, and we can all rotate in on our own courts. That's the main thing I want to convey. So thank you.
Thank you.
If I can,
Any questions?
we have a Park and Rec Advisory Committee meeting, and they're the ones that kind of lead for the rules and presenting them.
When are they? When is that?
I will send that to you if you can leave me your email address or a phone number, and I'm happy to get that information for you and send it to you.
Okay, I can just send, is your email on the website?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
There, I put a timer on so I can try to stay timely. My name is Teresa Piliero. I live at 23 Pippins Way, and I'm here to talk about pickleball also. I'm here to just share with you my experience in February. It was posted on social media. The calendar changed, Jeff, without any warning, without any discussion, without any input. I think it was a pretty contentious discussion that occurred prior to the initial one coming out. And I think somebody on this committee sits on that Park and Rec committee. So who's advocating for the community members or the people that are paying for passes when seems to me to be a unilateral decision that was made? I tried to buy a badge in January or February, and it kept saying it was an out-of-town resident. So I was like, okay, whatever, I have to figure this out. And it wanted to charge me $150. And then when that was posted, I was like, whoa, what's going on? Let me see if I can go get a badge. And I went into that room, and there was a lady there, and there was a man in an office, and there was a man over to the right. And I said, I need to buy a badge. And first they couldn't find me in the system. And as it turns out, if you live on Pippin's Way, you cannot be recognized as a resident unless you have an apostrophe between your N and your S, because that's how the tax record holds it. So that was my problem. Okay. So I got the badge, and then I said, and I don't understand who made this decision to change these hours. And basically I was told that the Parks and Rec Committee has full power without any votes to do what they want. And they discussed it with the 2 people that were hired, Meg and I don't know, somebody else. And I was surprised and quite frankly, very disappointed that there's this major change made. It's not communicated. I said, you didn't send an email. We sent an email to the badge holders. I said, to the current badge holders, like how many people had bought badges by February 22nd or whenever that email went out. It didn't go to all township residents. I had to find out about it on social media. That just didn't feel good as a person who pays taxes here in Morris County. So I'm usually disappointed. I'm also going to be moving. I live at 23 Pippins. I'm going to be moving back to Connecticut. So I'm standing here before you with no vested interest in this other than it's unfair. And I expect my elected representatives to have my back. No one had our back. That's how I feel. So thank you.
Thank you. And again, a couple things. One, we apologize for the issue on Pippin's Way for that glitch for whatever reason. Because I think if we were made aware of that, we could have gotten that straightened out. And again, good luck to you in Connecticut. We do appreciate your feedback. And I do know that Parks and Rec, the committee, pickleball is one of their #1 priority concerns.
It is.
And I will say, and we love the fact that we have so many residents and others who want to use the pickleball courts, and appreciate that we too are trying to fix the rules and make everything so that everybody has an enjoyable experience. We understand that's not always easy. And the explosion of how popular this sport became so rapidly, I think is part of the reason. And again, I apologize to you because I think that was part of the reason that we weren't aware either how quickly it was going to become so popular, so many people. So we're working through those, and we will find solutions and appreciate the public.
Mayor, if I may, just real quickly, Mark, because I know Mark and I both serve on the advisory committee for Parks and Recreation, and we were both at the last advisory committee meeting. There were members of the public that came in and provided a lot of input about pickleball and hours and whatnot. So I just want to be clear for the record that we did not make the change in a vacuum. We did get a lot of input. We know that a survey is long overdue, and that's in the works as the administrator had said. But I just wanted to let you know that it's a lot of when we first started pickleball, and I had said that there's a lot that we don't know. We don't know what we don't know, and we're learning. And the feedback that we're getting from folks like you and others who are either on one side or the other, on more open play, less open play. We're not making decisions in the vacuum. We are taking all the input, and we're trying to accommodate as many people as we can and make the play as fair as possible. Not only people at all levels, but for township residents and those who buy badges from out of town.
Thank you. And Committeeman Gyorfy, do you have a comment?
Thank you, Mayor, and hi, Teresa.
Hey.
I don't remember voting on this in Parks and Rec because I wasn't under the impression that the Parks Department was supposed to be sending out a new schedule without us reviewing it or a survey going out to the pickleball badge holders. So I'm as surprised as you were because this wasn't communicated to me as a member of the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee that this schedule change was going into effect. My understanding from the meeting was after our meeting, some of the members of the advisory committee were going to meet with Parks and Rec staff, those members being pickleball players, to then talk about a proposal for schedule changes. I was under the impression a survey would be going out before any decisions were being finalized, and that final decision would be communicated to the advisory board before it got communicated to the pickleball players.
Well, that's great. It's Teresa again. Thank you. That makes me feel a lot better. So when you say you didn't do this in a vacuum, I appreciate hearing that too, but it feels like a vacuum to people like us who didn't know about it.
Right, and to Mark's point, we did not, coming out of that meeting, we did not agree on any changes. There were discussions that were taking place subsequent that we were not aware of. So I was hoping, to hear good feedback. I myself didn't even know there were changes. But all I can say is that they weren't made in a vacuum, but they weren't made with mine or Mark's knowledge.
Well, thank you. I hear from you that you guys are going to do better, and so I urge you to intervene.
We are striving to do better.
Thank you. Are there any other members from the public who'd like to speak?
Just one thing.
You get to come up once.
Oh, okay. Is there a way of our knowing when these meetings are?
They are posted online, the Parks and Rec. All of our meetings are posted online. There's a calendar and there's there.
Great,
I'm
thank you.
trying to get you the date before you leave, if I can, for the next one. Usually they're every other month for the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee.
Every other. Thank you.
Yes.
And if I could just add, tangentially, Morristown has approved pickleball court installation at Lidgerwood Park, and I think they're going to come online this season. So hopefully that'll take some pressure off some people coming over to Ginty.
Okay.
Hopeful.
Are they converting the courts?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Seeing if there's nobody else from the public, I'm not seeing any hands raised. Oh, I'm sorry. If you'd like to speak, you have to come to the podium and state your name and address, please. Thank you.
Mayor, I see a hand raised virtually too.
Oh, okay.
Hi, I'm Sikanya Vasavin, and I live at 10 Victoria Lane. I was just wondering, at Lidgerwood, how many of the courts would be converted to pickleball?
That's in Morristown.
Okay.
So yeah, that's not Morristown.
So I definitely play a lot of tennis, and I don't think that everything should be replaced.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you better go talk to the Morristown Council about what they do there.
Yeah.
We built new pickleball courts. We did not replace tennis courts with pickleball.
Yeah.
So we still have our
The courts at Ginty are
right. Same with
back and new.
Yeah, same with Streeter.
Mhm.
So, but no tennis courts were replaced with pickleball courts in Morris Township.
Okay, yeah. Well, at Ginty, I thought they replaced the old tennis courts with.
Those were an old parking
Yeah.
lot area.
The ones,
But do you have the other ones that are all brand new that are right behind the field there
yeah, those,
at Gitty Field?
yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing nobody else from the public, I would like to now, Dr. Lynn Siebert. Do you have a question or
No,
comment?
Dr. Lynn Siebert, 178 Hillcrest Avenue. I just wanted to commend Kathy Wilson on the report for the Senior Citizen Advisory Committee. It was very informative to hear the summation, and I applaud the township for taking that on. I think it's something that will benefit a lot of people. I also wanted to thank Brian Morgan for his efforts and the Environmental Commission for initiating a very productive and comprehensive meeting the other night on the tree ordinance issue. I hope that the Township Committee will continue in its efforts and work with the Environmental Commission to move ahead with formulating a comprehensive and effective environmental sound tree ordinance that addresses both private and public properties. So I just wanted to say I appreciate the efforts that have been made so far, and I compliment the Environmental Commission's leadership in that. So I hope that the Township Committee will continue working closely with them and move forward on that. So that was all I just wanted to say. It's a pleasure to see the involvement of so many good people on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Siebert. And also, we agree and we feel that we appreciate all the hard work that you continue to do for the township and especially in your community there.
Thank you.
Seeing no other hands being raised, is there a motion to close the public comment?
So moved.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second, yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have two ordinances for public hearing and adoption on tonight's agenda. Madam Clerk, please read the title of the first ordinance into the record, and we will then open the public hearing.
Ordinance number 0324, an ordinance of the Township of Morris, County of Morris, concerning salaries for non-union personnel. Note, establishing salary ranges for non-union personnel for 2024.
We will take comments from in-person attendees first and then switch over to Zoom. Please virtually raise your hand in Zoom to indicate you would like to speak. May I have a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance number 03-24?
So second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any discussion? See that anybody? Seeing no other members of the public wishing to speak. Michelle Esposito, do you have your hand up? Michelle, do you have a question or a comment? Michelle, if we can't hear you, if you are trying to speak.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, here's Joe. Sit
Joe.
down.
Yeah, Joe Adamante of 52 Fairmount. I had my hand raised. Apparently no one saw it. So I'm on my wife's computer, if that's okay. Can you hear me?
Wait, sir.
Hey, I'm sorry. We apologize, but you have to wait for the second public comment section. We're in the middle of voting on an ordinance, so we can't
Yeah,
stop.
I had my hand raised earlier, Jeff, and for some reason it didn't come through. I wanted to speak about the Environmental Commission meeting, but no one saw that.
I apologize. Virtual is always, as needed. We apologize.
Apparently,
We'll
yeah.
keep public
So
comments.
when will I have the opportunity to speak, Jeff?
Right after we finish our business, there's a second public comment section. We should get through our business quickly.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm guessing that'll be about 15 minutes, Joe.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, it's on my phone. I guess we're
Something
going
happened. I don't know what happened.
So, Mayor, you need a motion to close the public hearing.
Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, roll call. No.
Mayor, you need a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Is there a motion to adopt ordinance number?
0324. I move that we adopt 0324.
All those in favor?
Aye. Yeah.
We need a roll call.
Yes.
Madam Clerk, can I have a roll call?
Mr. Grayzel,
Yes.
Mr. Gyorfy,
Yes.
Mr. Jonnada,
Yes.
Mr. Ravitz.
Yes.
Mayor Guariglia.
Yes. I, Donna J, Mayor, declare ordinance number 03-24 approved and adopted and direct the township clerk to publish proper notice thereof in the official newsletter. Madam Clerk, please read the title of the second ordinance into the record for public hearing and adoption, and we will then open the public hearing.
Ordinance 0424, an ordinance of the Township of Morris, Morris County, New Jersey, concerning salaries for non-union personnel, fire department, establishing salaries ranges for non-union fire department personnel for 2024.
Mayor, just for the record, Committeeman Gyorfy is recused from this ordinance.
We will take comments from in-person attendees first and then switch over to Zoom. Please virtually raise your hand in Zoom to indicate if you would like to speak. May I have a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance number 04-24?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Seeing no other members of the public wishing to speak, will someone make a motion to close the public comment?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion to adopt ordinance number 04-24?
So moved.
Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Mr. Jonnada,
Yes.
Mr. Grayzel,
Yes.
Mr. Gyorfy,
Refuse.
Please recuse.
and Mayor Guariglia.
Yes. I, Donna J. Guariglia, Mayor, declare ordinance number 04-24 approved and adopted and direct the township clerk to publish proper notice thereof in the official newspaper. We have three ordinances for introduction on tonight's agenda. Madam Clerk, please read the title of the first ordinance into the record.
Ordinance 0524, an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank for calendar year 2024. NJSA 40A, semicolon 4-45.14. No requirement for municipal budget.
May I have a motion to introduce ordinance number 05-24?
I'll make that motion and also ask if Mr. Quinn could give a little background so the members of the public here understand what this one is all about. I think we should get a second first.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. This isn't really a bank. This is as the township expends money, they're subject to a 2% tax levy cap on the budget. When we don't exceed that, it goes into this bank for future years if we would ever need it. So it doesn't have to go out to referendum if we exceeded it. Is that clear enough, or it's a requirement of the budget, but it's there's no real money in it.
Yeah. And have we ever utilized it?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. After COVID, we had to use it.
Right. But usually we don't use this bank ever, but under those extenuating circumstances, we had to dip into those funds.
That is correct, because we had a loss in revenue coming out of COVID.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion or questions? Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Grayzel,
Yes.
Mr. Jonnada,
Yes.
Mr. Gyorfy,
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Mayor Gurglia.
Yes. The public hearing and final consideration and adoption of ordinance number 05-24 will be held at the next regular Township Committee meeting on Wednesday, April 17th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Madam Clerk, please read the title of the second ordinance into the record.
Ordinance 06-24, an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Morris, amending Chapter 15 of the Township Code. Note, amendment to personnel policies.
May I have a motion to introduce ordinance number 06-24?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion or questions? Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Jonnada.
Yes.
Mr. Grayzel.
Yes.
Mr. Gyorfy.
Yes.
Mr. Ravitz.
Yes.
Mayor Gurglia.
Yes. The public hearing and final consideration and adoption of ordinance number 06-24 will be held at the next regular Township Committee meeting on Wednesday, April 17th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Madam Clerk, please read the title of the last ordinance into the record.
Ordinance 07-24, an ordinance of the Township of Morris authorizing the execution of a shared service agreement with the Borough of Florham Park concerning the operations of a sewer pump station and governing the treatment of sewage flow. Note, Sisters of Charity of St. Elizabeth.
May I have a motion to introduce ordinance number 07-24?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion or any questions? Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Jonnada.
Yes.
Mr. Ravitz.
Yes.
Mr. Grayzel.
Yes.
Mr. Gyorfy.
Yes.
Mayor Gurglia.
Yes. The public hearing and final consideration and adoption for ordinance number 07-24 will be held at the next regular Township Committee meeting on Wednesday, April 17th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Next, we have the introduction of the municipal budget for calendar year 2024 resolution. Administrator Quinn will provide an overview of the budget and read the resolution language into the record.
Thank you, Mayor. In front of you, you have the budget document for 2024. It contains actually 4 budgets. It will be the current budget for the municipal, which is most of our operating expenses, and then for the 3 utilities of the sewer utility, the swim pool utility, and the parking utility. Whereas the current budget is from revenue sources and municipal taxes, the 3 utilities are fee-based. I am pleased to present that budget to you. And I will read the resolution, and then I will ask for a motion to introduce the budget. So the municipal budget of the Township of Morris, the County of Morris for fiscal year 2024. Be it resolved that the following statements of revenues and appropriations shall constitute the municipal budget for the year 2024. Be it further resolved that said budget be published in the Daily Record in the issue of March 24th, 2024. The governing body of the Township of Morris does hereby approve the following as the budget for the year 2024. Mayor, I would ask that you call for a motion for approval of the 2024 municipal budget introduction.
May I have a motion to approve the 2024?
Mayor, I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call?
Mr. Gyorfy.
Yes.
Mr. Jonnada.
Yes.
Mr. Grayzel.
Yes.
Mr. Ravitz.
Yes.
Mayor Gurglia.
Yes. Is it on? Okay. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay, so are we finished there?
I have one more statement to read.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you. This is the most I talk all year.
I know.
Notice is hereby given that the budget and tax resolution was approved by the committee persons of the Township of Morris, County of Morris on March 20th, 2024. A hearing on the budget and tax resolution will be held at the Morris Township Municipal Building, 50 Woodland Avenue on April 17th, 2024 at 7:00 p.m., at which time and place objections to said budget and tax resolution for the year 2024 may be presented by taxpayers or other interested persons. And that will conclude the introduction of the municipal budget.
Thank you, Mr. Quinn, and also thank you to you and all the department heads and everyone. Committeeman Gyorfy and I serve on the Finance Committee, and again, and all the input from the rest of the committee members. Done a great job on this year's budget, so we look
Thank you.
forward
Yep.
to next month and the presentation of the budget. The next thing on the agenda are our resolutions. We have 20 resolutions on tonight's agenda. We are going to pull Resolution 90-24 and vote on it separately. May I have a motion to approve Resolutions 88-24 and 89-24 and Resolutions 91-24 through 107-24 by one motion?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call?
Mr. Jonnada,
Yes.
Mr. Grayzel,
Yes.
Mr. Gyorfy,
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Mayor Griglia.
Yes. Madam Clerk, can you read the title of Resolution 90-24?
Resolution 90-24, authorizing award to Brindley Mountain Fire Apparatus through Sourcewell National Cooperative Contract 120921 BLE for additional refurbished repair on Engine 5, a 2007 E1 pumper for the fire department in the amount not to exceed $38,391.
Mayor, for the record, Committeeman Gyorfy is recused from this resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Cantor. May I have a motion to approve Resolution 90-24?
So moved.
Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote on Resolution 90-24?
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Mr. Jonnada,
Yes.
Mr. Grayzel,
Yes.
Mayor Griglia.
Yes. Thank you. Consideration of monthly reports. We have received reports for January 2024 from Police, Fire, and the Morris Township Library Tax Department, and February 2024 from the Tax Department, Police, the Morris Township Library, and Joint Court. Can I have a motion to approve the monthly reports?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The total number of bills and vouchers for this meeting is $9,107,547.11. We are also the tax collector for the school district, the library, and the county. May I have a motion to approve the list of bills and vouchers?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call?
Mr. Jonnada,
Yes.
Mr. Grayzel,
Yes.
Mr. Gyorfy,
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Mayor Griglia.
Yes. We received for the record the Environmental Commission 2023 Annual Report and one tax appeal. Next, we'll move to our standing committee reports and commentary by the Township Committee. At this time, standing committee reports and commentary will be provided first by Committeeman Jonnada.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to get a brief review of what I did at least last month, actually last week. The Whippany River Watershed Action Committee had their annual cleanup around the Bethel AME Church site at Horseshoe Bend. At least 100 people took part in the event, and among the sponsors were Earth Aware, which is affiliated with the United Methodist Church, and the Morris County Historical Society, because they were cleaning up a historic site in Spring Street, which was the parsonage, the original parsonage of the Bethel AME Church and the first school for African American children. And the attendees included Scout troops, members of Morris County School, local elected officials. And we collected over 150 bags of trash. Most of them were bottles and cans, same as last year. But for the second year in a row,
Mr. Jonnada, hold up. Somebody's unmuted.
Zito needs to be on mute on Zoom right now. Okay, go ahead. Sorry about
yes,
that.
for the second year in a row, we did not find any plastic bags which means that the plastic bag ban from 2021 is working in terms of not having plastic bags in our water streams, at least around here. And then last Thursday, as was mentioned, the Environmental Commission had a talk with our township professionals, which we're thankful for Tim Quinn for running, and they spoke for 2 hours, which was an incredible feat for us. It was the longest EC meetings that I have ever attended. But the professionals did answer our questions, and they were thorough and very helpful. And among the issues that were discussed was the overall strategy of tree maintenance, feasibility of updating the tree ordinance, and feasibility of the shade tree commission. There's much more to discuss in the coming weeks, but this was a good start. So more to come. And plus, I also attended my first Transportation Action Committee, Advisory Committee, and they discussed things like parking updates, senior transportation options, and also they're looking at e-scooter and e-bike education opportunities, because I guess there's some issues, safety issues on there. And they also want to provide outreach at township events. And one of the concepts that they want to introduce is the idea of know your neighborhood. And that dovetails with my monthly talk on local neighborhoods. And as I mentioned in my previous ones, I wanted to give a brief historical overview of different parts of town. And today I'm going to talk about Collinsville. Collinsville is located in the northeast part of town around Martin Luther King Avenue and Quarry Road, and borders Cedar Knolls at Hanover Township. It was named after two brothers, Sidney and William Collins, who owned a prosperous local shoe store. It is also a thriving African-American community since 1912, and since they were also excluded from other parts of town. Also in 1912, a firehouse was established at what is now MLK Boulevard. And that fire station was torn down back in 74, but a new one was built along White Whippany Road. A school was also built back in 1904 on Cleveland Avenue, and was active for kindergarten to 3rd or 4th grade until 1954. After the building was closed as a school, it was used as a neighborhood community center for 20 years until it was torn down without warning. And so they did not have any community input, which is something that we do not take lightly nowadays. But back then, somehow what was once a community center was gone. There was also a local ball field in Collinsville Field, which is what I heard was now Tucker Field, and was used by semi-pro baseball teams. And one opponent team had a first baseman named Lou Long, who hit 2 home runs. Lou Long's real name was Lou Gehrig, the Iron Horse, fighter of the Yankees.
Huh.
So, among other things that happened to the town, Lou Gehrig once played in our township at Collinsville.
Wow.
Incredible.
Wow.
But also, he had a musician who was born and raised here. He lived in Collinsville all his life, and his name is Bobby Tucker. He was a famed jazz accompanist for Billie Holiday in the late 1940s, but after he was ignominiously fired from that job, Billy Eckstein, another vocalist, hired him, and they played together for nearly 45 years until Eckstein's death in 1990. Tucker lived on Quarry Road and was affectionately known as Mr. B, and he had many famed jazz singers and musicians who visited him there. Aside from Billie Holiday and Eckstein, he also worked with, among others, Lena Horne, Sarah Vaughan, Tony Bennett, and Quincy Jones. So if you don't know these names, please be sure you do, because this was an incredible person who worked with other incredible people, and he lived in our town. Now today, the area continues to thrive, because we're also going to look at improving Collinsville Park and Tucker Field, which we now know was the place where Lou Gehrig was played, because they're going to be undergoing major upgrades and will be used by the neighborhood residents once again. And I'm thankful that I've been assisted by Betty Simmons, Pam Watson, and Ron Kimbrough. And Ron Kimbrough, I should add, was the one who gave me the idea of talking about neighborhoods when he talked up Bobby Tucker and what he did. So thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you, Mr. Jonnada. Committeeman Gyorfy.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll keep my comments brief. First, I'd like to thank Brian Morgan and members of the EC who presented and prepared tonight's report. I'd also like to thank Kathy Wilson and Mary Volk for coming in tonight to present the SCAC's report as well. Really appreciate the time being put to put those both of those reports before the Township Committee. As chair of the Finance Committee, most of my work with Mayor Guariglia has been focused on the budget, working with Tim Quinn and our Chief Financial Officer, Sean Ferguson. And I'll have more to say about the introduced budget at the budget presentation next month. With that, I will yield back, Mayor.
Thank you. Committeeman Ravitz.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's see. Good evening, everybody, again, and happy spring once again. And thank you for sticking with us and in your local government. As I always like to say, national politics gets all the spotlight, but it's what we do here in this room that has the biggest impact in your quality and economic impact of your lives. I like to say that please do sign up for the Municipal Messenger. It is the absolute best way to get updates from the town, and there's no better way to stay in touch with the town than the Municipal Messenger. Let's see, for standing committee updates, on the fire department, the Morris Township was awarded $35,000 through the American Rescue Plan Firefighter Grant Program for 2024. We are purchasing 12 new sets of turnout gear, which comes to the amount of just over $42,000. So think of it as purchasing 2 sets and getting 10 free. So we are also submitting for the Assistance to Firefighters Grants Program. Those funds would be for safety and training, plus updating specific equipment that is used to rescue firefighters that have become trapped while operating inside burning buildings. And I want to thank Lieutenant McCloskey for working really, really hard the last few months on those grants. For the police department, I know this has been mentioned before by Deputy Mayor Grayzel and even myself, the Arrive Together program. If you don't know what the Arrive Together program is, I really encourage you to visit the Morris Township Police Department's website, where you can navigate to it and learn all about it. It is a pilot program, one of the first in the nation, between us, Morris Township, Madison, Morris Plains, and the Morristown and the prosecutor's office. It's a phenomenal program, and if it works, it'll hopefully be rolled out in more and more cities across the nation. Not much going on in Parks and Rec. Stay tuned. You know, always stay up with the Parks and Rec website, finding out what programs are available for people of all ages and the residents of our town. Couple of things we're doing. We're just doing some replacing of fencing at Veterans Field, installing some fencing around the new basketball court at Ginty, and then installing some fencing over at the Valley View Reserve. For my commentary tonight, congrats to the Morristown High School girls basketball season. They had a stellar run. I think they just lost in the final game, so kudos to them. I spoke a little earlier about Women's History Month. The journey for true gender equality is far from over. Women continue to face systemic challenges, from gender-based violence to unequal pay to limited representation in positions of power and control over their own bodies and family planning. But the spirit of Women's History Month is not about celebrating the past. It really is about galvanizing action for the future. And as always, I like to end my commentary with this. We have more in common than should ever divide us, which we will all rediscover by talking to each other and not at each other. Amplifying misinformation and hateful or violent rhetoric is not part of any civilized society. And lastly, as we go about our business each and every day, just remember to be kind to others and kind to yourselves, because kindness matters. Mayor?
Thank you, Committeeman Ravitz and Deputy Mayor Grayzel.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to say that it's great to see Kathy Wilson back in the room here. Welcome. I want to thank Kathy and Brian Morgan for their reports tonight and also for their leadership of their respective committees. I also want to thank all the members of the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee and the Environmental Commission for all their hard work. As I said before, the volunteers in our town volunteer their time for the benefit of everybody else to make Morris Township a better place for all of us. And from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for giving of your time to make our town better. We had a great meeting of the Economic Development Advisory Committee a couple of weeks ago. Congratulations to the 3 new appointees to our EDAC who attended their very first meeting of this committee. And 2 of them stepped up right away to work on projects, which was great. The initiative now underway is the pre-work for reaching out to businesses in our town and creating an interface on our website where businesses can register and find information that they might need. So more on that later in the year. I also participated in the Environmental Commission meeting. That committee, Jonnada was also a participant of. And again, I want to thank everybody there for their hard work and all the initiatives that are going to be coming out in 2024. Look forward to announcing those in the future. For engineering, I am excited to announce that the work on Southgate Parkway has finally started earlier this week. We are transforming Southgate Parkway into a multifunctional pathway that's going to accommodate cars, bikes, and pedestrians with an added sidewalk, with added bike lanes in both directions, and a very nice tree buffer in between both lanes. It'll be a very nice promenade that's going to get a lot of use, I believe. Later this year, we're also going to be connecting that via a sidewalk and a crosswalk across South Street to Ginty Pool and the Ginty Recreation Facility. So it's a great improvement and it's part of your tax dollars at work. The next road reconstruction project is going to be on Gregory Kennedy and Pine Tree roadways. Tonight, we had a resolution on our agenda to add a little more money for the engineering consultant for some additional work, and the construction is going to commence. Mr. Quinn, when do you think?
In April.
In April. Very good. So we're getting very close. And then the next roadway project after that is going to be Overlook Road, and we'll have more information on that again later in the year. For my general commentary, I would like to acknowledge the passing of Dr. Robert Zufall, MD, who is the founder of Zufall Health Clinics in Morristown and Dover. He passed away earlier this month on March 5th, just 3 months short of his 100th birthday. These 2 local health clinics are an important support system to so many residents in our area. And today, Zufall Health is a nationally recognized nonprofit community health center serving more than 48,000 patients annually at service sites on 2 mobile units and in 7 New Jersey counties. A memorial service for Dr. Zufall is going to be held on Sunday, April 21st at 1:30 p.m. at County College of Morris in Randolph. He made a great impact on our community, and I'm sorry for his loss. Next, 1 billion Muslims around the world are celebrating the holy month of Ramadan, which began on March 10th. Muslims mark the holy month by fasting, considered to be one of the 5 pillars of Islam, during sunlight hours. The pre-dawn meal is called a suhoor, while the fast is broken at dusk with an iftar, traditionally starting with a few sips of water and then some dates. I am very excited to have been invited to an iftar dinner celebration this coming Sunday at the Islamic Community Cultural Center in Parsippany. I would like to thank them for the invitation, and I would like to wish all our Muslim neighbors a Ramadan Kareem and hope they have a generous Ramadan season.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. My reports, the first, Committeeman Jonnada mentioned a couple things about TAC, but I serve on TAC, and we are focusing on mobility, our events and outreach for this year, and complete streets. On March 27th, I'll attend Avenues in Motion, the County Transportation Forum at CCM. We talked about how we would like to come up with a Know Your Neighborhoods list for the township. We'll have many spring and summer mobility scheduled events, and we'll get that up and share that with everyone as well. We're encouraging walking, hiking trails, and biking, especially in the spring and summer. We plan to have a Walk to Morristown Day, where we pass out routes from different neighborhoods and encourage families to walk into Morristown and back instead of taking their cars. We're also discussing bus routes and bus shelters, along with the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee. We're working together on that, and the e-bike registration and insurance needs that we see for the future. We also are going to look to have some kind of a complete streets roundtable discussion, maybe with some of our other municipalities. On the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee, other than the work that we're doing with with TAC, and Andy Feldman, the new chair, has shared his proposal on a potential bus stop on Hanover Avenue up by the Mars Muse. Our committee there on TAC, headed up by Noel Robinson, contacted 10 different municipalities in the area to get feedback on how they meet the transportation needs of their seniors. So we'll discuss that as well. On the health resources, we have a collaboration with the health department, and Barbara Sabiri, who's the other chair of SCAC, is looking to work with them and also distribute the Morris County Resource Directory, if we could leave some copies here at Town Hall. We're looking to have, they are looking to have an event called Aging in Your Own Space, and they will also continue to work with Parks and Rec on things for seniors. I want to let everybody know that on March 2nd at Fairchild Firehouse, we had our first coffee with the mayor. I want to thank Tim Quinn for coming out and making sure that we had coffee and munchkins for those who did attend. And Committeeman Jonnada also came. And we had a great turnout on a really horrible rainy day. So please join us at the next one. We'll be getting that date out to you. It'll probably be near the end of May, maybe beginning of June at one of the other firehouses. I also want to let you know that the entire Morris Township Committee all marched in the St. Patrick's Day Parade, which also wasn't the best of weather, but that was a nice event. And last Friday night, I attended the Law Enforcement First Responders Night, hosted by the 200 Club of Morris County and the New Jersey Coalition for Education and Positive Choices at Menon Arena. Our police officers participated, and others from Morris County, the Sheriff's Office, the K-9 unit, and Hope One were also there. Adding to Committeeman Ravitz, congratulations to the Morristown basketball team. We will also be having, at one of our next meetings, we will celebrate them and bring them in so we can all congratulate them on an unbelievable, unforgettable season. So for me, in closing, I just want to say, over time, we continue to find so many women who never received the recognition they deserved for the duty they performed in contributing to so many great things towards our history. Every year, we still highlight all the contributions great female leaders have made. What we fail to do many times is to recognize the devotion of those women in our own lives, whether they are our colleagues, our family members, our spiritual leaders, mentors, or others, who enhance the lives, not only our lives, but others, and help us just cope every single day. Remember to honor and thank the women in your life as you celebrate Women's History Month. And don't take for granted the empathy, compassion, and understanding that comes naturally to them, especially to all those they care about. At this time, we're going to open our second public commentary. There are currently 7 members of the public joining us on Zoom. We will take comments from in-person attendees first, and then we'll switch over to Zoom. Please virtually raise your hand in Zoom to indicate if you would like to speak. State your name and address for the record before speaking. Please note your comments are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. If you have questions you would like answered, your remaining time to speak will be yielded back for this person. Is there a motion to open the public comment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any members from the public who would like to speak? I think we still have one hand raised on Zoom.
I think we should recognize Mr. Adamonte first, if he's still there.
Yeah, I think that's who it
I am
is.
here.
Yes. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Joe Adamonte, 52 Fairmount Avenue. The last shall be first, I suppose. I attended the EC meeting, and I'd like to comment on some of the things I heard there. One of the things I noticed, and I believe it was Tom Eshman who mentioned it, was that 40% of our tree cover are ash trees, and of course they're coming down because they pose a hazard. He also mentioned that there's beech tree wilt, and I can attest to that. I was a member of Senator Smith's Energy, who's the chair of the Energy and Environmental Committee. It was created, it was a forest task force. We served for about a year, and it was created to advise on legislation, particularly to mitigate climate change. And that's where I can attest to the number of trees are coming down, and there are a lot of trees coming down, as you very well know. So we need to do all we can do to mitigate that and to prevent trees from coming down needlessly. As you know, many trees protect soil, and they provide shelter and food, and they mainly also hold soil in place. So they serve many good purposes. Something that's a misnomer, however, with trees is that if one tree comes down, say a specimen tree, I believe the township says, or many other municipalities also say, that we'll just plant 6 or 7 trees. That is a misnomer, and this is well documented. It takes something like 40 trees, 40 saplings over a number of years to take up the amount of carbon dioxide and sequester that carbon as one specimen tree will. Now, as you know, the NJDEP is requiring that all municipalities come up with a tree ordinance which will protect and replace trees. And back in 2009, I believe it began, 2 ECs, the last one headed by Ted Largman, consulted with a lot of people and came up with an ordinance. That ordinance did not go through. In 2012 and 2013, committee member Goldman worked on that. And also I was asked to offer my input, which I did, and I was honored to do that. Right now, with this new mandate from the DEP, we have an opportunity to craft a new ordinance to support our commitment and about the importance of trees, particularly in mitigating climate change, which is a statewide, in fact, a nationwide initiative. So, and in preventing erosion and so on. So I just note before I come to my concluding point that at that meeting, the EC meeting, several residents, and I was heartened to hear this, said the trees increase property values and make our township a desirable place to live. And that's also very important. You can't put a money value on it, but it's very important. So I would suggest you have this ordinance that was crafted, and I can supply it to you if you don't have it on hand, in 2012 and 2013, and you can manipulate it and adjust it as you will. And also a thing that's recommended, those certain people would serve on a shade tree commission, who would establish a shade tree commission, and they would oversee and guide folks on what to do with trees, and also the nuts and bolts actually of the issue, and also appoint a certified arborist. With those things, I think we can truly achieve a good shade tree ordinance. I suggest that, and I encourage you to look at it. I plan to follow up. I've already begun it with a letter to offer you more details on the matter. But I think it's very important that we follow through with this.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your input. And yeah, we've already have received a couple other letters from residents. So if you
Good.
feel, if you want to write, please do.
Absolutely.
And thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
See if are there any other hands? Seeing no other members of the public wishing to speak, will someone make a motion to close the public comment?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
The time is now 8:58. Can I have a motion to adjourn the regular session?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next regular Township Committee meeting will be held on Wednesday, April 17th, 2024 at 7 p.m. in person and via Zoom. Thank you all very much. Have a great night.